What is happening, everybody? This is Sam from Historic Travels, and I'm here with you today with a bit of an unusual kind of video. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a demo where you can experience the sinking of the Lusitania. Now, this demo is quite old. It came out back in like 2019, 2020, somewhere around there, and I remember seeing some video of it at the time, and I did download it, but I never made a video about it. And that's what I'm doing today, is I'm making a video about this really cool older demo. Now, the people that made this demo, I believe that some of them went on to go and work with like Part-Time Explorer. I think one of them went on to go work with him, but it's really cool. Now, this demo, when you downloaded it, it came with a bunch of files that have like different things about the Lusitania, and this is one of them right here. This is a PDF that talks about like different sinking theories, and this right here is the pretty much confirmed, like this is what the ship did. You know, the bow hit the bottom, the stern rose up into the air, the way the funnels went down. But before people kind of came to that conclusion, this right here was the general sinking theory about Lusitania, where it's like they thought that the bow went down, and then before it hit the bottom or anything, it's like it stopped sinking and then leveled off and then went down. I mean, that didn't really make sense to me, and the big reason why they were talking about that was, I believe, was the funnels, because the funnels were depicted as the last thing to go under with the Lusitania. There's actually, yeah, there's some drawings and some newspaper things where they talk about that the funnels were the last parts of the ship to go under. I think he's got something else on here. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in here. So these are screenshots from the demo and the animation, quote unquote. And where is that drawing? I know it's on here, and I'm sorry if this is there's torpedo damage. Here's how the water came in. There's the longitudinal bulkheads. I know it's on here, but anyway, as you can see from this document, there's tons and tons of stuff about Lusitania. And like, yeah, right here, the bow hitting the bottom. And then there's some scans of the wreck. There's Ken Marshall's paintings. Oh, yeah. There was a submersible that got tangled up in a net. I remember hearing about that. Jeez Louise. Can you, like, seriously, what would you think, guys, if you were in a submersible on Lusitania and you got caught in the net like that? That would be pretty horrifying. I mean, if that happens, you're kind of stuck, you know? But anyway, I can't find it. But regardless, there's tons of drawings that depict that the funnels are the last parts of the ship that went under, which is why people talked about it like that. Now, if we go into some of the game's files here, we've got some screenshots of the actual demo itself. And now this demo also has, it's got like documentary clips and videos. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you any of that because I think I did. I live streamed this game a while back, and the live stream itself actually, like during the live stream, I got copyrighted for showing those really old I mean, they're old documentaries. Like there's the wreck on the bottom. But yeah, let's jump into the demo. Now the demo is a little bit glitchy, so I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's got some issues. But let's see here. There it is. Lucy demo. What's in the Lucy? Oh, that's just files. Okay. All right, let's go in. And we're going to go through the entire sinking, well, this demo depicts 18 minutes sinking, which I know it's been changed to like 21 minutes now, I think. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. And it's really cool. It's great for the time period. I'm actually surprised I never did a video on it. One thing that he did, whoa, that is loud. That is loud. Hold on. All right. There we go. Change that. Okay. One really cool thing that he did do is, if I can find it, exit. You can actually explore the wreck. So you can actually go down and see the wreck of the Lusitania. Now, this isn't 100% accurate as it is now, but it's really cool. That is loud. Holy crap. Hold on, let me change the audio levels because this is like really loud. Okay, there we go. Look at that. There's Lusitania. Okay, I have no idea how loud this is going to be for you guys, so I'm going to turn it way the heck down just so you can hear me, but it's still loud for me. Look at that. Flying over the Lusitania. Now, the wreck is a lot more collapsed than this. Now, like, it's completely, like, falling apart. But this is really, really cool. Seeing how it's depicted here. And there's the split. That's where the Lusitania broke in two as it was on its way down. Look at that. Now the propellers are still here in this version. Yeah, because on the real wreck, they blew off the propellers, and they did a lot of damage to the ship's stern. It's cool seeing this depiction of it. Can I see Lusitania's name on the bow, on the stern? No. Very, very cool. Very eerie. Very eerie. Now, one thing that you're going to see with this demo, as soon as I hit escape, it crashes, or it just shuts off. Oh, wait, Steam VR? I don't have what... Oh, did it think I was trying to play in VR? Okay, no, it was not. All right, here we go. Let's go back into it, and let's turn up the audio of the game now. So, all right. So, Lusitania demo. There we go. So, yeah, as you can see, this is a very basic program. It's still really cool. It's insanely cool. Okay. Start. We're going to do the syncing. All right, guys, I'm back. So I had to do a slight cut there because a documentary kicked in and I can't stop it. All right, so here we are on the Lusitania. We start off on one of the lower decks. And this is... I just teleported. So now the game is going to start up right before the torpedo impacts. So the torpedo will be striking here in a second. Go away, Steam VR. All right, hang on. I need to turn up the audio a little bit. Oh, there we go. And back to it. Okay. The lifeboats don't have ropes on them. This reminds me a lot of the original Titanic Honor and Glory animation that showed the original one from like 2016, because I believe the lifeboats in that. Oh, here comes the torpedo. Torpedo strike. Steam venting out. Starboard list. Whoa. And there's the second explosion. Now, the second explosion, wow, look at this list. Hang on, let's, now, FYI, the game doesn't have any water physics, like, nothing at all. So when I jump off, I just walk on water. But you can see already how much of a massive list Lusitania's got. And this is immediately following the torpedo strike. Immediately following. Alright, teleport back on board. Fun fact, I actually did use this in my last Lusitania video, the one where I talk about why the wreck was in such a massive state of decay. I used a small little clip from this, which was actually kind of tricky to get. It was a shot that was kind of tricky for me to get, but I did get it. It was the shot where I showed the Lusitania's bow hit the bottom while the stern was still sticking up. I used this for that because in the animation that I used in that, it doesn't have any underwater shots. So I got creative with how I wanted to get a shot of the bow hitting the bottom while the stern was still sticking up. So that was a little tricky to figure out, but I think it worked out great. All right, so at this point in time, Captain Turner is on the bridge, and the crew are desperately trying to figure out the situation. They know Lusitania is badly damaged. Captain Turner would have given the order around now to begin turning the ship towards the old head of Kinsale. Wait, yeah, the old head of Kinsale, the lighthouse there. And they began to turn the ship, and so the helmsman turned the ship towards Ireland, which was visible off of the ship's port side. I believe that line out there is to represent Ireland's coastline. But now, when the helmsman turned the ship did respond. The rudder turned, and the Lusitania began to turn towards Ireland. However, after the ship leveled off, and after the ship turned to the point where the helmsman needed to level off the ship and go straight, the ship had lost so much steam pressure that the helm did not respond. So the rudder was basically stuck in the turning position, and the Lusitania began to do loops. So by the end of the sinking, she had basically turned completely around and was heading back out to sea. And it's mostly believed, there's been tons of people talking about what that second explosion was. Oh, I just fell through the bridge wing. But I'm honestly of the opinion that the second explosion was a boiler or a steam line explosion. It wasn't munitions like some people like to claim. But that second explosion caused the ship to lose so much steam pressure so quickly, which is another reason why I think it was either A, a boiler, or B, a steam line, that the ship's power failed after 4 minutes. And that also explains why the ship's helm wouldn't respond, because the lack of steam pressure messed up the helm and the turning gear and all that stuff. Like, the ship couldn't turn anymore because it didn't have enough steam pressure to run the equipment. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, the crew began to prep the lifeboats immediately, like almost immediately following the torpedo strike. But here's the problem. The ship also lost steam pressure so quickly that when the captain ordered the engines to be reversed to try to bring the ship to a stop, the engines wouldn't respond. So there's two big things. The Lusitania lost its engines due to the lack of steam pressure, and she couldn't turn. So the ship was basically cruising at a speed of give or take 18 knots before the torpedo strike. But after the steam pressure was lost, they couldn't do anything about the speed. They simply had to wait for the Lusitania to slowly drift to a stop, and that also prevented them from launching lifeboats at first. Now, the forward motion of the ship also put more damage on the torpedo hole that was put into the ship, and I believe it struck, where was it? Like between the bridge and the first funnel, if I'm not mistaken. It was, or it might have been a little bit further back. Probably between was it between the first and second funnel? It was somewhere around there. I have to double check, but yeah. Anyway, the blast destroyed one of the lifeboats that you didn't see it, but it got blasted off of the ship here and knocked another one back. On the port side of the ship, when the crew were working on the lifeboats, there was one lifeboat. I don't remember which one it was, but there was a crewman. The crewmen, the lifeboats are secured to the Lusitania using these giant chains, okay? And when they were releasing the chains, one of the ship's officers noticed that if they released the chains holding this lifeboat to the Lusitania, due to the ship's sharp list, that lifeboat was going to come crashing down to the deck. And anyway, a passenger who had a gun got very nervous and told the crewman to release it. No, wait. Was that? No. Okay, so the gun thing did happen. Yeah, the gun thing did happen, and then the lifeboat came forward, and it ended up crushing a guy. Yeah, that happened. I had to think for a second, but yeah. A passenger had a gun, told the officer to release the boat. He didn't want to, but he did it anyway because he had a gun to his head, and then the lifeboat came back, slid down the deck, and actually crushed some people against the ship's superstructure. It was really, really bad. I don't know what happened to that passenger. Now, that splash you heard, there were some lifeboats that were launched, and they simply fell into the sea. Like, the crew couldn't hold the ropes, and the lifeboats just fell, and they collapsed, throwing their occupants into the sea. A lot of people like to think in sinking situations, like with Titanic, for example, that sinkings are very slow situations where people have time to react and stuff. They don't. They don't. Titanic was a very unique sinking, and sinkings don't happen like that very often. And yeah, Lusitania, it was pretty much chaos. Now, the ship lost all electrical power after about 4 minutes. So 4 minutes into the sinking, the ship lost all electrical power. And that, unfortunately, trapped some people deep within the ship, and some were even trapped in the ship's elevators. I believe there was an elevator that was on its way up to the boat deck with passengers, and when the ship's power failed, the elevator stalled in between decks, and there was nothing that could be done for the people in that lifeboat, and unfortunately, they went down with the ship. Now, Captain Turner was doing everything he could to try to keep everyone calm, but he knew his ship was really in trouble. In just a few short minutes, you can tell now that the water is already creeping its way up to the very front of the ship. It really did not take long for the water to be making its way towards the front of the Lusitania, or towards the top, the forwardmost deck. When I jump down, you can see it. How long is the ship? Sorry about those loud splashes. But, as you can see, the ship is already extremely far down at the head. She sank so fast. There was one passenger on the Lusitania that at the time of the torpedo strike, she had 2 children on board. She had a daughter that was about 3, maybe 4 years old, and she had an infant son. Now, her infant son was, I believe he was on a lower deck in her cabin. And her daughter was in, like, the ship's nursery, or maybe it wasn't a nursery, but it was like a place for kids, like a daycare or something like that. And anyway, she had to choose. So she was, the deck she was on, she could either go up to save her daughter or go down to save her son. Can you imagine how horrible of a choice that would have to be? To like I can only go one way at a time, and they're in two different spots. What do I do? Now, she made the choice to go for her daughter first, and then she was going to try to go after her son. And correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember this passenger's name, but if I remember correctly, her husband went to get their son, and she went to get their daughter, and they all made it off. I think. I'd have to double check, because this is something I read about a long time ago, but yes. This is also a very good angle for what the passenger on Lusitania known as Dwight Harris would have saw. Now, Dwight Harris has a bit of an interesting story. He was so worried about the Lusitania sinking because, remember, the Germans had put out that warning in the New York newspaper. It said something along the lines of any passengers choosing to sail on Lusitania are reminded that a state of war exists between Great Britain and her allies, and that if you sail in the waters, you are subject to attack, something along those lines. He was so worried about that he went and got a custom-made life jacket. And anyway, he took that with him, and when the Lusitania was sinking, he jumped from the bridge, or climbed down from the bridge, or came down and come down these ladders, I'm assuming, and got down onto the deck here. And anyway, so he walks down, and he walks up to the railing, and he is thinking about jumping off of the ship. But then he changes his mind. He wants his life jacket. It's still in his cabin. So, with the water beginning to creep its way up onto the front of the ship, he decides to go back inside to get his life jacket. And he somehow made it back to his cabin, got his life jacket, and I'm pretty sure he said that the ship's list was so severe at that time was that he had 1 foot on the floor and 1 foot on the wall. And there's no lights, remember, like, even though it's the middle of the day, I think it's like 2 p.m., I think. Yeah, 2 p.m. when Lusitania got struck, or somewhere around there. And he inside these ships, though, it's pitch black. It's pitch black darkness. It's just pitch, yeah. So he was able to walk through the hallway because a lot of the passengers had their doors open, okay? The doors going into their cabins, they were open. And he was able to see because the light was hitting the ocean, and the light was reflecting off of the seawater was going in through the porthole windows, and he could see in that way. So can you imagine how eerie that would be? To be your pathway into the ship is being lit up by by light reflecting off of the water. I mean, talk about eerie, right? I mean, that just shows how fast Lusitania was going down. Like, it's incredibly scary stuff. And anyway, he said that he waited until the water was beginning to slowly work its way up here onto the forecastle deck. And then he simply just stepped off of the ship and into the sea and swam away. And he later reported that the last thing that he saw, when he turned around, the ship was still moving forward. And he looked at the Lusitania's massive funnels going past him against the sky. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy, eerie stuff. And there's a lifeboat being lowered, and that one just fell. I am pretty sure that's the lifeboat that had Avis Dolphin on board. She was on the Lusitania. I think she was about 12 at the time, and she befriended a professor who was on board. He was heading home to see his family. And if I remember correctly, he jumped from the Lusitania into the water to get her. But yeah, so few lifeboats got away from Lusitania. It was such a chaotic sinking. I just teleported back on board. Now, there is a funny glitch with this game. So, when you're on board, the player's physics, like the physics of the character that I'm using to walk around, it doesn't match up with the ship if your character is separated from the ship for whatever reason. So, if all I do is jump, the ship moves forward because my character suddenly is moving at 0 speed while the ship is still moving at, 10 knots or so at this point. So you can literally, all this stuff is, collapsing around me. But, yeah. So if I'm moving forward, it's like it's hard for me to move around the ship if I jump. Oh boy. That's bad. Now, Captain Turner, throughout all of this, he stayed on the bridge. He never left. Now, Turner would end up surviving the sinking, but he did not leave the ship until the water reached him. So, I mean, he was on the ship until literally the very end. Where are we at right now? Oh, geez. Oh, geez. All right, yeah, we're coming up on the end here, guys. Water is almost on the boat deck. We're going to go away now and take a look at this. Yep, now the water's on the deck. I mean, just see how fast she went down. Just me sitting here talking about it, so much happened. Now, when I did my documentary on Lusitania, I know it took me like 2 20 or 30-minute episodes to cover what happened on the Lusitania in 18 minutes, or 20 minutes now. There she goes. I gotta tell you, this is an incredible animation for what it is. Now, at this point in time, Captain Turner is still on the bridge. And this is about when he would have left the ship. Whoa. I kind of just want to watch. I don't really want to talk. Now, this version of the sinking, this one depicts the version where the bow doesn't slam into the bottom. It's more like it just drops straight down. The weird sinking that we were all confused about for a very long time. That's what's depicted here. There she goes. Water's consuming the bridge. And this is also about the angle where that wireless operator took the photo. He actually would have done that a little bit before, but a wireless operator took a photo of Lusitania sinking. I'll throw it up here so you can see it. Mike Brady did a video about it. Let me turn down the audio a little bit. There we go. Look at that. Can you imagine being here and seeing this happening? There's that last lifeboat leaving the ship. I can't believe that lifeboat got away. The one being lowered right there. It was literally lowered away while the ship was in its death blows. There she goes. She went down so fast. And because of those drawings, this is why they have it like the funnels. Because, yeah, that is one thing that's weird about Lusitania is all the funnels didn't fall. There was also a survivor who, she got sucked into one of the ship's funnels when they slipped beneath the surface because they whirlpooled. And then a boiler or something inside of the ship exploded and shot her out like a rocket. That also happened. And you believe that she survived that? I mean, shoot, if... That's so weird. Seeing the funnels like that. There she goes. She's gone. There was one survivor who actually got caught in the ship's Marconi wires and got dragged down, but he was able to free himself. But he thought he was going to die. He thought he wasn't going to make it. Okay, I just glitched, and now I'm on the Lusitania underwater. Oh, crap. This isn't good. This isn't good. Oh. All right. Okay. So yeah, that happened. But yeah, anyway, guys, this is all I got for you today. You know, I just wanted to make this quick little mini video to show you this really, really cool demo, and just it's incredible work, you know, for being made by such a small team. And just all the information here about it, like they reference Dead Wake, which is my favorite Lusitania book. Different sinking scenarios, and they try to explain stuff. I mean, it's insanely cool stuff. This document was a really, really good read, just talking about all the different aspects about the Lusitania. But yeah, very, very cool stuff. Very cool. The guys that made this, fantastic work, and I hope you guys are doing well. All right, everybody. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.